Woo! And we are back right here on the Real 1100 AM iHeartRadio, taking in all over the world.
All over the globe.
And it is a Big Scoop Thursday, and I got a big show for you today. I got a big guy. I mean, this man has been developing the economy over there on the south side of Atlanta for his entire life.
Yeah. Man, I notice how you catch yourself. You're like, I got a big guy. He look at you like, who you calling fat?
I had to gain some weight, so yeah.
Lord have mercy. Joining us today from Urban Post, Mr. Christopher Pike.
What's up? What's up? Glad to be here, man. Thanks for the invite. It's always a pleasure to sit down and be able to talk about the South Side, and so glad to be here to really just pump up the stuff that's going on and spend a couple of hours with y'all, or hour, I guess, with y'all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. First of all, let's get something off the table. I don't appreciate how you came in here making us look bad. You up in here suited up, with the driver's cap and everything.
Right. Listen, they said I was coming on the #1 business show in the world, so I figured I need to look the part. So I put it on.
Oh, man. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get these announcements out of the way real quick. If you are out in the Smyrna area, I want you to go visit all my friends over at Titans Fitness, world-class training facility, fitness programs, nutrition, and no McDonald's, Jeff.
Hey,
you got to let the McDonald's go, Jeff.
I heard that the fries actually help your metabolism.
It helps you slow down a lot. But if you do want to get a free training on me, you can visit right there online at titans.net, or you can visit them at 1834 South Cobb Industrial Boulevard. Go and ask to speak with Rachel Stuckert from Impact Fitness, and she will give you a training right here on the #1 rated business show. If you're out in the Douglasville area and you want to stay looking good, want to stay looking fly, like I need to go visit my guy tomorrow, I want y'all to go visit Studio 1211. You can call, schedule an appointment right there at 770-485-6772. Or visit them right there at 6405 Fairburn Road, right there in beautiful Douglasville, Georgia.
That sounds good.
And we got a lot of work going on out there, too. A lot.
Really?
So much traffic. But no, thank you so much for joining us in studio today, Mr. Pike. I know it's been a while since we've been able to kind of sit down and talk, because I know you've been over in the city of South Fulton doing all that work down there that you did.
Right.
And I mean, Lord, that South Fulton is going like crazy, bro.
It is. Yeah.
Like, ever since they got their cityhood, it's just been boom, 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 boom. That's all you hear about now. Soul food.
Yes.
Yes, Lord. Well, I tell you, I tell everybody that South Fulton's one of the fastest growing cities, not only in the state, but in the country. I mean, when I was there, we were building about 1,100 single family homes a year. So if you think about that, that's phenomenal, bro. I mean, some cities only do maybe, 20, 30 new homes a year. So to be able to see that amount of growth. But I tell everybody, man, the future of Metro Atlanta is on the south side. Everything south of I-20, I mean, that is really the future. Because, Gwinnett County, I mean, how many more people can you squeeze up there?
Yeah. It's like they're going to have to take 85 and make a whole nother highway. You cannot get up or down 85 any time of the day going to Gwinnett. It's crazy.
Right. So
I don't know why nobody want to live up there.
That's the truth.
I don't know why they would either, So, but, I tell people, though, when you look at what's going on and what's happening, we got to be prepared to take advantage of the opportunity that's going to come. So that's the other thing, is being able to plan, make sure that the cities are really connected and plugged into what their future looks like. Because the worst thing you can happen is have development happen to you and you not participating in it.
Oh, yeah.
And I tell that from folks who live here. You have folks who've lived on the south side 30, 40, 50 years, generational folks, and you don't want development to happen to them. If you look at some of the stuff that's going on in Atlanta with gentrification, stuff like that, that's just because you didn't have right policies in place to address that stuff. We all knew it was coming, but you got to have the professionals sitting there saying, hey, we need to address this stuff. We need to make sure that we're not pushing out people who help build this community. And so I think that's one thing that, folks need to look at on the south side is, hey, how do we address this growth that's coming? Because everything that I'm seeing, all the information I'm reading, saying that city of Atlanta or Metro Atlanta is going to grow by 1.3 million people by 2030. So think about how that's not but what, like 8 years from now, something like that.
Exactly. That's a lot of traffic, right?
But tell me this, why is it the south side has become so attractive? I mean, don't get me wrong, you got the airport down there that brings a lot of jobs. But why the South Side? That we see this big emergence. Like everybody want to be on the down here in the South now.
I think it has to do with the professionals. So if you think about it, 5-6 years ago, most of the cities on the South Side didn't have economic development professionals.
No, they did not.
So, and what happened is once you started getting those professionals, what I told people when I walked in the door was, we're going to control our narrative. We're going to tell our story about our community the way that we think it should be told. And I think that started resonating with people. So once you control that narrative, you start telling that story over and over again, and then you start bringing people down, telling them how great the South Side is, then it starts to resonate with folks. And I think that's what you're starting to see. You can't underestimate the importance of having folks at the table that know how to position your community to win. And so I think that's really what you're seeing. And so all of these communities now understand that that's how you get growth. That's how you get responsible growth. And that's how you get desirable businesses, because everybody knows the people who were playing in the South Side were playing it for warehouses and industrial. And you're starting to see that narrative change a lot, because now folks are saying, well, we want the same thing that folks in Alpharetta have, and folks in Roswell and Sandy Springs. And so that's when you're starting to see that type of development come on the South Side. But it took time. I mean, you have to sit at the table, talk to developers, and get them to understand, like, listen, this is our expectation, and you have to come down and meet that expectation.
How can a community get involved in knowing what's going on and helping create the narrative for their community? Because a lot of times the community will find out about it after it happened. I mean, there's nothing they can do about it, and they don't know actually where to go to find out, or who to contact. They basically go, hey, it's time to vote. I like this guy's shirt, I'm gonna vote for him. I mean, they don't even know what's going on.
Especially on these smaller elections, for real. Because a lot of times you don't know who the people on the ballots are.
Yeah, that's true. And listen, I tell people all the time, citizens have a responsibility as well in this whole situation. They have to be plugged in, and there's too many avenues not to be plugged in now. So back in the day, before you had social media and the internet and all that, I mean, you had to read and find a little meeting notice. I tell them all the time, I said, the worst thing you can do is have a zoning application for mayor and council, and then people come with pitchforks against your project because it's dead on arrival. It's not going to get approved. So you have to do, as a developer, you have to go out there and talk to the community and be like, hey, this is what we're trying to do. We'd like to get your feedback. Come to this meeting, tell us, hey, we like that. No, we don't like that. This sucks. That, so that way, when you go and you present to the mayor and council, the community will be like, okay, well, we know about that. We don't agree with everything, but we can deal with most of what they got going on. And so I think that's the other part of it as well. So,
now how should people look at things from a level of an economist? What is actually that essential role, or what's one of the things that you do as far as being an economist?
But I'm not an economist. So I think that's what it was funny, because when I first started with City of South Fulton, we had somebody get up and make public comment. It's like, how can somebody do economic development? They're not an economist. And I'm like, I was like, well, economic development professionals aren't economists. We give economists something to talk about.
Okay.
So, so the economic development,
sit on the sideline and they call this. They just tell them what's happening.
Right. They just report on the stuff that we're doing. That's what. So what we do is we go out and we actually engage the folks to actually get the stuff built that economists talk about. So when we're talking about job creation, well, somebody has to be on the local level making that job creation happen. Or if we're talking about new home sales, or we're talking about new new capital investment in a market. Those are people like me that are out there pounding the pavement, going to talk to folks to get stuff actually coming out of the ground. And so, and then that's what economists then go back and report on. Well, we've had this much growth. Well,
they get the credit.
Yeah. Well, they don't get the credit. I think most
they just get to commentate.
They get to give us our report card. They score us on what we've done. That's what they do. But that's how that works. But from understanding that, though, and we do understand how the markets work, and we do understand how employment affects the economy, how job creation affects the economy, how bringing in new capital investment affects the economy. The reality is, the more opportunities you create for people, the better the economy is going to be. And so we do understand that, but we're actually physically do the work as opposed to doing the reporting of the work. So
yeah,
that's the best way. That's the best way to break it down from an economist to an economist.
It's like this, there's the guy behind that Marcus, and there's the guy in front of the daggone mic that takes all the credit.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold up.
I feel like there's some shots fired.
But no, when we start looking at, our economy, and you start looking at different cities, especially emerging cities, what are some of those opportunities that people should be aware of, or what's some of the more obvious opportunities that people miss a lot of times?
Right. So I think the thing that most people, well, let me back up a little bit to that, because in order to be able to take advantage of opportunity, you have to be prepared for the opportunity.
Okay.
And I think I know the issue that with most businesses, because we saw it when we were giving out money for CARES Act funding, we were giving grants to businesses. They didn't have basic foundational stuff in place to be able to take the grant. All we asked for was 2 years business tax return and a business license. And businesses didn't have that. So that says that you're not set up properly as a business. And so you can't take advantage of opportunities if your business isn't set up right. I mean, we were basically just giving away free money. All you had to do was show your tax returns and your business license. And they couldn't even do that. So I think it's important to understand that this development and growth is happening, but if you're not set up right, you ain't gonna be able to take advantage of any of that stuff.
With this big push for entrepreneurship in our community, for real. It's funny that we still got them two different attitudes. You got some folks that got the attitude like him, bro. You just need to have your paperwork and your taxes done. Ain't that big of a deal. And then you got, man, I got to do all that. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
I just can't believe that.
The problem with entrepreneurial, I guess you would say entrepreneurialism today is because of social media and a lot of the miseducation, people confuse hustling with owning a business.
Right.
And
that's true.
And that's the difference. So they're like, I don't
think
really
a lot
need
of
the
it started off
paperwork.
as
I can make all this money. I don't need a business license because I don't want the government in my business. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so when it comes down to it, and they're like taxes, I don't want to pay taxes, so I'm gonna hide this and hide that. But then when they try to go get a loan, they don't have everything in order. And so I think that's the biggest problem, that entrepreneurialism has been a hustle instead of a business in a lot of the narrative online. And so they're getting it confused.
Because it just seemed like to me a lot of times in our community, and I ain't trying to down our own folks, but it seemed like we so ill prepared for things. Because it's like other races and stuff, they go start their own businesses. They start from marketing plan, business plan, strategy, business licenses.
But who do you listen to?
Market.
No, but check it out. Who do you listen to? The problem is a lot of our businesses, we listen to people on social media and we get entertained, not informed. Where other cultures, they have a business, like for instance, I have a friend that had a Indian restaurant, and he said how they set it up was they came to him and said, we're going to give you X amount of dollars. You have to do this, this, and this to set up your restaurant. And in 2-3 years, you have to give back and you have to teach the next person. So they got a game plan just laid out for them. And they follow the plan. What we do is we kind of look online and say, hey, that guy he look like he got a lot of money.
And that's true. We got to teach and train. That's the problem. We're not teaching and training. Like, for example, I started my company when I left the city of South Fulton. Well, my daughter, who's in college right now, she wants to be an entrepreneur. She's doing fashion design. Well, I told her, I said, well, you're going to be my business manager for Urban Pulse. You're going to send out the invoices. You're going to make the deposits. You're going to pay all the bills. And what I'm doing, she don't want to do this, what I'm doing for a living, but she wants to own her own business.
Yeah.
And so while she's a phenomenal at fashion design and making clothes, she's at the house making clothes right now for folks. While she's phenomenal at that, The problem is she's got to understand how to also properly run her business so that she can take advantage of situations. Just like when I was in Albany and we were trying to get minorities contracts to do all this construction that was going on. Well, you have to be able to be bonded to do construction in government.
Okay.
Now that's where all the easy money is in the government because they're handing money out left and right. But you have to have certain things in place to be able to get those government contracts.
Yeah.
And folks get mad because it's like, well, you know, the council is majority black or black people running the city. But yeah, we still have to be accountable how we manage the money. You still have to be accountable. Right. And so we want you to win. Like I tell people all the time, the greatest documentary I ever watched was the one about Maynard Jackson and how I tell people, I don't have any documentation that this actually occurred and is true, but I believe it in my heart that Maynard Jackson single-handedly created more black millionaires probably than any other person in modern history.
Wow.
Just by the way he handled and managed stuff that happened at the airport and the expansion of the airport, making sure black people got advantages to do construction at the airport. But he still did it through policy. It wasn't like he just took a check out of the city of Atlanta, checking account and wrote it to people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, you want our folks to take advantage of these opportunities, but you still have to have some accountability on your end. So, so we don't end up in jail. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of times I think we grow up, thinking that bucking school and all this type of stuff, oh man, I ain't doing all that, or dropping out of school and all this makes you cool or give you some type of rite of passage as a man in the hood or whatever. But a lot of times what ends up happening is a lot of that type of stuff, you should have sat there and learned how to get that paperwork straight.
Well, even in school,
or obey rules from somebody.
Well, no, even in school, they don't really teach you a lot of that.
Schools fail people.
Yeah,
I know that's hard to say. We don't want to admit that, but schools, and I teach my children this. My daughter's in college and everything. But if you look at some of the most successful people in this world, none of them dropped out of college. Because what college does is it conditions you to work for other people.
Exactly.
And schools, classrooms, K through whenever, they don't teach you the things that you need to know to be successful. They teach you how to work and follow rules. That's what they teach you how to do. And the problem is if you don't have somebody there, a parent or somebody teaching your child, yes, you need to know how to add 1 + 1, but there's way more stuff to the world than that. And so
he brought tears to my eyes.
but no, that's so true. Because if you even think about it, school starts 8 o'clock in the morning. They let you go around about 3 something. You know what I'm saying? College, your first stuff started about 8 o'clock in the morning.
Check it out. The most interesting thing is, I don't know about y'all schools, but how many schools taught you how to even balance a checkbook?
Not one.
Let